First, we have to categorize who is who in our community before we even try to move forward. We have to know who Uncle Sam is, not Uncle Tom. But see, the reason why we get all, I said, confused is because we don't write our own history. Someone else writes it in a European. So therefore, you have to ask yourself, why would they tell us the truth when the truth may set us free? Knowing that Uncle Tom was a fictional character is very important, but even more important is understanding that Uncle Tom's character in the book, Uncle Tom's Cabin, was not the bad guy. Admittedly, Harriet Beecher Stowe, Uncle Tom's character, was humble, nonviolent, and very religious. But such personal characteristics could just as easily have been applied to 98% of nearly every enslaved as well as free black person. It is important that character traits be considered with attention to his strengths. In the novel, Uncle Tom refused to beat other slaves for falling short on their daily cotton picking. When necessary, he would take control from his own sack and place in the sacks of others who were short to prevent them from being beaten. He defied Simon Legree, the white slave master, by refusing to whip female slaves to make them more obedient. Nor would he tell where escaping black slaves were hiding across the river. The label Uncle Tom is not appropriate label for a white person in black skin, according to the character developed in Stowe's novel. Sambo would be a more apt name and description of a black person who sells out his people to advantage himself, sort of like a gatekeeper. Sambo was the character totally committed to the white master and who used every opportunity to undermine the other slaves. Sambo enjoyed following the master and offered to show him how to treat coons. Sambo in Uncle Tom's Cabin, like many black conservatives in office in today's system, in our bureaucratic system, are operating by the same dogma, the same, I would say, contract. And they're doing it under misleading colors. As an old farmer said, they run with the hounds while pretending friendship and brotherhood with the rabbits. It was Sambo who beat Uncle Tom to death for refusing to whip a black female. In real life, Sambo personality, not Uncle Tom, is who black people's worst nightmare. I brought this book out because this is by Mr. Claude, or Dr. Claude Anderson, one of our elders, and it needs to be told. History remains largely white history. Black race are virtually non-existent when historical events are described in textbooks, movies, and centennial celebrations. And we know this to be the truth because one of the first things that Trump did was start taking out African art out of the Smithsonian and renaming government institutions or bases after people that he thought, he liked, Confederacy and all of that. But y'all know that this man's name is not Trump. He changed it from Drump to Trump. And I like calling him Drump because it's more accurate. But This man carries a lot of weight. He does a lot of evil, and we know he's wrong. He came in with 34 counts of felonies, and he was still allowed to be president. He's starting wars, and he doesn't care about the American society, the world, how it looks at us, and we really have dropped in respect to a lot of countries because they do not respect him. And how they should have brought his grades from his schooling, because he's always talking about somebody else being low IQ. But America, you nominated and put somebody in office that has the IQ of your teenager, or maybe even less. And you were all right with it because he was a European, he was white, and he was something that you thought that you should support. You wanted to be MAGA. Now he's turned on you, and now all of a sudden you understand what black folks are saying. But you're not really ready to attach yourself to us because you want separate but equal. There is no separate but equal. You either join us or you get what you get. That's like people of color. We've never had you on our side. I wouldn't trust you even if you did decide to come on our side. And people of color, I understand right to this day. I had to correct a young lady because I didn't like the way that she was, give me your ID. The hell, you're a customer service person in CVS, understand, pharmacy, and you talking to a customer like that. I said, I don't appreciate the way you're doing that. You know, she should be asking me. CVS should be kissing my ass, excuse the expression, to have my business. So it is telling me that what we did in December, we need to be doing several times of a year if we can be man enough and 10 times better as black human beings to start boycotting and using our economic power to let people know if they do not respect us, and this is politically too, then you get out of here. We'll break you. We'll stop attending your stores, and we'll stop supporting your campaign. Now, I don't trust Democrats or Republicans because you let a lot of your Democratic constituency, and wait a minute, no, let's put it right. You let a lot of your Democratic lawmakers get away with murder. That means supporting Trump, not voting with party lines. We need to name them, blame them, and get them the hell out of here. Okay? No longer can you play that fool. Now, we also need to start cracking down. I don't see no Democratic, Republican judges, or especially presidents that have a decent salary. They're all rich, super rich. How did they get that way? By voting the way that they were told to vote, which did not do American citizens no good. You stole from out of Social Security, now you're talking about giving back billions. You stole trillions. You sent it to the Department of Defense, what, to start wars? Because of oil? Because of gold in another country? And you got our people, our young people, fighting for something that is not representative of true Americans, and they're a threat against our nation. You are fighting for resources that you've been stealing from Africa, North America, South America, wherever, for hundreds of years. And it must stop.